Welcome to Round Glass. I'm Vishvapani Blomfield, and thank you for joining me for this series on exploring qualities of awareness. Today's practice will explore acceptance, which means seeing things as they are in the present moment, whether they're pleasant or difficult. So here's a question. What helps you when things are difficult? Does mindfulness play a part? So we'd love to hear your thoughts. Please share them in the chat. Now, when I was younger, I didn't look after my teeth very well. Put that together with a fondness for chocolate, and I've had quite a few dental issues over the years. Quite a few fillings, and quite a bit of time in the dentist chair having unpleasant things done to me. So I used to tense up whenever that happened. And one time I remember I really scared the dentist when I moved my head away when he was drilling a hole in my teeth. Eventually, after I'd been meditating for a while, I thought, well, this is exactly the time when I should be using my practice. So I decided that I would make the whole thing an opportunity to be mindful. And I consciously said to myself, as I was sitting in the dentist chair, dentist prodding my mouth, not pleasant. And then I took my attention to the breath in the belly, and I really focused on the sensations and the soothing feeling that went with them. Now, I wasn't pretending that the dental work wasn't going on, but I also wasn't fixated on it. Actually, I became really absorbed in a sort of meditative state. I was rather sorry when the process stopped. And then it was time to open my eyes, rinse my mouth. I thought, wow, this stuff really does work. So that's my story. Now it's good to hear from some of you about the things that help you when things are difficult. So I see some of you turn to yoga or go for a run. Calling a friend for a support, yes. Stepping outside, walking around the block to clear your head. Or a boxing class, that's interesting. So one thing that helps when things are difficult is being aware. And another is the breath. Okay, so let's try a little exercise. I invite you to do this along with me. Firstly, let's clench our fist really tightly, okay? Keep holding it tight as you can, tight, tight, tight. Now, let's notice what's happened to your breathing. So in my experience, most people notice that they're holding their breath. Okay, so now try this. Still clenching the hand, breathe consciously and let the breath flow. And let it flow deep and slow. And imagine it's flowing out down your arm. The breath is flowing out down your arm. Okay, what does your hand want to do? I mean, my hand wants to do this. It wants to open. Did you notice that? Okay, so I found that a really interesting exercise. Lesson of the first part is that tensing one part of your body, or in fact bringing any kind of tension, tends to create tension in the body as a whole, but especially the breathing. A sense of holding, constraint. Now the lesson of the second is that letting go, consciously, deliberately letting go, especially letting the breath go, tends to bring a sense of ease and opening. So you breathe out and that tends to open. Now I learned this exercise from my really wonderful friend, Vidya Mala Birch, who suffers from chronic pain. And she developed the Breathworks approach to living mindfully with pain and illness. And, you know, it gives us a clue to how we can work with difficult experiences. So we need to turn towards them, like I did in the dentist chair. Like holding your hand in front of your face, okay? Not dodging around it, pretending you can't see it. But you can overdo that. And Vidya Mala says, If you overdo it, then the hand becomes like a great octopus, a great monster whose tentacles are smothering you. Okay? So what we need is a balance between those things. And mindful acceptance really means living with the difficult things in life because they really are there, but taking this balanced, measured approach and taking all your needs into account. So let's take those reflections into today's practice and let's just take our time, okay? So taking your time to find a way to sit, lie perhaps. You may be in a chair, you may be on the floor like I am. Doesn't really matter for this exercise. We want to be comfortable. We want to be alert. So just finding a way that you can rest. But also if you're sitting, be reasonably upright. You can imagine the spine rising up, feeling the whole height of the body. If you're on a chair, you might just want to bring your back away from the rest of the chair rather than slumping back into the chair, so that we can bring this sense of alertness and awakeness. And we gradually make a transition. We make a transition from all the things we've been doing, the realm of being busy and thinking about stuff. To start off with, we'll probably notice that that's still going on. Those thoughts are still there. And we're making a gentle transition into the practice where we're just settling our attention in the present moment. And a really good way to do that is just by sensing what the body is feeling right now. So where the body rests, the support beneath us, getting a sense of stability from the weight of the body resting on the floor, settling. So this is very different from, holding ourselves tight. We don't need to do that. We can let all of that go. Just allow the body to have its natural poise and alertness. And feeling where the body rests, where the bottom rests, and presses on the chair, the knees, the feet. So breathing. Settling. Maybe taking a deeper breath. So breath flowing in, breath flowing out, long and slow. Breathing in, breathing out, and just letting it all go, letting go of whatever the day has brought or will bring or whatever our life is bringing. We don't have to figure it all out right now. This is a time where we can just settle, just be. Feeling the breath, feeling the body. And just checking in with our emotional tone. So I like to use an analogy. The weather changes from day to day, at least where I live it does. Some days it's rainy, some days it's sunny. And what about the internal weather? What's the weather like today? Is it bright and sunny? Is it gloomy and overcast? Is there a storm brewing? So whichever one of these things it might be, it's not good or bad. You know, it's just the weather. It's just blowing through us today. So just acknowledging however we are. And that's what we bring to the practice. Just letting our attention settle on the breath, how the tummy rises and falls. Noticing the sensations, contact between the skin and our clothing. Breathing, settling. Allowing space. Now, noticing something in your experience that is not pleasant. Something that is not pleasant. So that could be a sense of discomfort in the body, for example, maybe some tightness or tension. Now, we aren't looking for the really biggest things. We aren't looking for things that might be overwhelming. Just looking for little things that are a bit unpleasant. It might be that your thoughts have been taking you to something that's challenging or demanding or disappointing or worrying, or something like that. So that if that's in your thoughts and that's in your experience, so there might be something like that just, oh yes, right, I'm thinking about that conversation I have to have. Or it might be, as I talk now, something comes to your mind that's there in your life that's not easy. Okay, so just taking one of these niggly things and just let it be there in our mind. Now, you may not want it here because we've got into this nice, quiet meditation space and we want to get away from the difficulties, but let's just bring it in all the same. Just open the door. You can always close the door again. Just let the door be open for now. Maybe just a crack. And as we let this difficult experience be present, what's happening in the body? is there something that echoes that thought? Some way that the body is affected, something that's tightened up or tensed up, or something that's a bit knotted maybe, perhaps in the tummy, that sort of area. So just noticing that, and just noticing it as a physical sensation. Noticing where it feels tense or tight. And just letting the breath flow gently, gently, gently into that area. Bringing a sense of soothing, but mostly bringing awareness, and space. So the breath is flowing in and opening, opening. Opening to the experience. Opening and softening, softening any resistance. Opening and softening. So we aren't pushing anything away. We're letting our experience be, and we're bringing awareness to that experience. If at any point this feels too much, then just leave aside the difficult thinking. Come back to the breath and the body. You find your own limits, not pushing this, just very gently allowing ourselves to become a little bit more aware of this difficult sensation. So the breath is soothing, the breath is kind. So awareness, warmth, kindness. Noticing any changes in the experience. Is it just the same? Is it shifting? Does our experience of the body shift? Our thoughts shifting? Just settling, breathing, just gently, gently. Now expanding our awareness to include the whole body. So feeling the body from the head, the face, the neck and throat, the torso, the arms and hands, the chest and belly, the back, the bottom resting on the support. The legs, the feet, the toes, so sensing the whole body, moving with the breath. Breathing, connecting, absorbing, settling, resting, letting the breath be our anchor. Starting to make a transition now. Let's make this a really gentle, smooth transition from one state to another state. And this is only if you want to stop sitting now. Of course, you're very welcome to keep sitting. So starting to introduce a little movement. We move our fingers, maybe, perhaps our toes. Move your neck a little, gently. Move the shoulders. And just do what you sense your body needs and wants to do to make that transition. Stretch upwards, perhaps. And let it all go. So let's just take a few minutes now to absorb. Move a little. And just shifting, continuing to shift, even though we've opened our eyes. Just noticing what happened in the practice today. So, taking our awareness to something difficult can be challenging. And just bear in mind that you may need some space. Okay, just space to absorb. Whatever it was, however it went, the practice is just to be with it. So just taking some time now to notice and reflect. So the reason that mindfulness has become so influential is that psychologists have found themselves agreeing with Buddhists that the root of so many of our problems is how we relate to difficult experiences. So we instinctively want to push difficult things away. We want to pretend that they aren't there. And we can carry on if we use enough willpower, or we find some kind of distraction or something that will help us cope. And then the problems go underground. So we may not be so aware of them, but they're still affecting us. And the alternative, which is really the mindful approach, is recognizing, firstly, that life includes many unpleasant, painful, difficult things. And there might be little things like physical discomfort, but then physical comfort may not be little. And then there are other things like bereavement and loss and disappointment, rejection, all those things that happen in our lives and actually happen in everyone's life. So when those things happen, when those things are part of our life, we need to allow them space. And first of all, just sitting quietly and attending to our experience, that is a way of giving space. You just sit, see what happens. And that's why it's good on the whole to keep meditation simple. So you're not getting so involved in the technicalities of the practice, and you're able to engage with your experience. And that's certainly true, I think, while you're getting used to meditation. But because our instinct is to avoid difficulties, we need to do something extra, sometimes at least. We need to turn towards those difficulties quite consciously and deliberately. Bringing something into our awareness, even if it's painful, as we did in a gentle way in that little practice we've just done. The important thing is to bring kindness. So accepting the difficulties that we can't change doesn't mean that we shouldn't change the things that we can. One unexpected effect of mindfulness for me is that I pay much more attention when I'm brushing my teeth. I've really learned to be more present and brush more carefully. So my teeth still have problems from earlier years, but my dentist tells me that no new ones are developing. And that is even though I still like chocolate. So let's finish with some lines of poetry. Robert Frost is one of the great American poets. He lived mostly in New England and he died in 1963. And these lines are from a poem called Acceptance. Now let the night be dark for all of me. Let the night be too dark for me to see into the future. Let what will be, be. So thank you for sharing this time, and please continue to explore your meditation practice with us. Check out our daily live meditations at round.glass or on our app. And go well, have a mindful day, whatever it brings.